Hi, I'm Karena from KarenaKilcoyne.com. Do you feel like you keep attracting the same person over and over again? Do you feel like you're dating the same person over and over again? Do you feel like you always give too much of yourself in your friendships and your family relationships, and you keep running the same cycle where you feel exhausted and run down? Or at family gatherings, do you continually get upset at the same triggers? If you answered yes to any of these questions, stay tuned, because I'm going to share some tips with you about how to change the trajectory of your relationships. The next few weeks, we're going to talk about relationships and love, and relationships with other people, family, friends, lovers. And if you've been tuning in, you know that we spent almost all of last month talking about self-love, loving ourselves more, practicing self-love, and why that's so important. If you missed any of that or you want a refresher, just go to my website. There's lots of videos and blogs and stories, and I'm sure there's something you might find helpful. So why do we talk about self-love first before talking about relationships with other people? Because the number one thing you need to do in order to have fulfilling, deep, meaningful, authentic relationships is to love yourself. So important. Because self-love is where we learn boundaries. It's where we know who we are and what we're willing to give and what we're willing to accept, and the boundaries we put in relationships with people. That all comes from loving ourselves and respecting ourselves. So what I want to focus on today is one specific area of that, about self-love. And it's about accepting your past and understanding your past and how it affects your relationships. So this understanding your past is the number one thing you can do to change the trajectory of your relationships, to make them more healthy, to make them more vibrant, to make them more authentic. So what do I mean by that? What are we going to do to understand our past? So we need to get real with ourselves. We need to be honest about what we've been through. Maybe we have abandonment issues. Maybe we have a lot of built up anger and resentment about how we grew up. So maybe it's a bad childhood. Maybe it was a bad marriage. Maybe somebody cheated on you. Maybe you're in an abusive relationship. And the sad thing that happens in that space, and I know because it's happened to me, is that we then come out of that relationship with this diminished view of what we're worthy of in love. We might close ourselves off. We might continue to look for the same type of person who's going to treat us the same way. And what's strange is a lot of that isn't conscious, it's subconscious. And why it's happening is we have these stories cycling inside of us, and it's affecting our self-worth. So how do we do it? How do we get real with ourselves? How do we understand our past and learn from it so our relationships change? What we do is we journal. We get really honest about what happened and who we were in that relationship and why we were choosing that person. We might talk to a friend. We talk to a therapist. We just get it out, and we want to really come from a space of understanding why we did what we did. Now, there is a time and place to maybe rehash and get out your feelings about the other person in the relationship. That is important. But what we don't want to do is we do not want to keep harping on them. We don't want to spend our time over and over again telling our girlfriends about what a lying, cheating jerk he was. Because all that does is that cycle I was talking about. It creates a pattern, an energetic loop in your body, and all you're thinking about is that's what you're worth. And it's not true. So we need to stop blaming the other person, understand who we were in the relationship, what we've learned from it, step out of our victimhood, and understand how strong and powerful and wise we are because we went through what we went through. So I write a lot about this on my blog and in my upcoming book. I get really honest and vulnerable about my relationships, starting from when I was little and the trauma I lived through, and the bad relationships I had. Oh God, how many bad boyfriends I had, who I chose, why I chose them. And then I met my husband. Such a kind, strong, patient man, full of love. And I will tell you that when we were together, and even the early part of our marriage, I was not real about who I was and what I'd been through. I wasn't really honest. And when I got honest and I understood my abandonment issues and my shame, and I let it all out into the sunlight and I dealt with it, my marriage became stronger and deeper and brighter and more full of passion and love, because I no longer saw myself as that victimized little girl. I saw myself as a wise soul who had been through a lot, things that I was meant to be through. And I felt a sense of gratitude for it all, really, because it made me who I was, and it shifted me into this different place where I wanted more for myself. So I hope this is resonating with you, and I hope that you'll spend some time thinking about your past and what you're carrying with you still, and how it might be negatively impacting your relationships. I hope you'll also journal and really spend some time understanding and believing how worthy you are of big, huge, wonderful love, because you are. So until we chat again, take good care of yourself and believe that you're worthy of nothing but unconditional, beautiful love. I'll chat with you soon.